been sorted out.
A bit of what, sorry?
Horsing. Where one player gets on top of the other.
Oh, right, I see. I see now. Yes, okay,
Yes.
fine.
They've all picked themselves up off the ground, and Lemmings are still in possession now as they flick forward. Oh, unlucky. She was looking like that disc was just beyond the reach, and eyes drifted down towards the sideline as she approached. Let's have a look at that again. Well, it wasn't the most convincing of grabs, and unfortunately that's a turnover for Lemmings.
So another opportunity now for Smog to try and earn the game's first break. They worked it all the way to the end zone last time, and this time it's not going to happen. What a point block. Smashing it out just after it left the grasp.
So welcome to our live YouTube people. We've just managed to get the stream up and running. Apologies for the delays in getting that sorted. We've been trying our best to work out some technical gremlins this morning, but welcome along wherever you're joining. I see a few of you in the chat already. We have a trivia question for you in a minute, but Lemmings have got the disc now in the red shirts, SMOG2 in the white. Tom Stiles alongside Benjamin Rees covering this from the Highfields Sports Ground here in Nottingham. Wonderful to see high quality ultimate being played, and that is a tasty high release flick with a little bit of IO to keep it in bounds. Chased down beautifully into the end zone, and Lemmings that's leveling it up, isn't it? 2 apiece.
Oh, that throw was silky smooth. Love to see that one again, because cannot really execute it any better than that. And it's not been the cleanest of ultimate so far early on in this game, but both sides going blow for blow at the moment. Here we are going to look at it again on the replay.
Sanders with the high release flick. Beautiful.
Utterly, it's disgustingly beautiful.
And Newman with the grab. So number 18 for Lemmings, we are trying to ID the player. She's not on our roster, but she's a big part of the handling line so far. I think she's got... I'm just trying to read the back of her shirt. Lemmings have done a great job with the shirts, actually. Nice big numbers and names as well.
I think the issue is that the players' names aren't necessarily they don't always correlate with the names on the shirts. They've had a lot of kind of rallying the club for shirts for people to use. They've got a couple of people who are not necessarily usually on the team here who are filling in. And so that always kind of complicates things a little bit, but we will endeavour to do our best, as we always do. I will say that, Lemmings, to their credit, they have tried to give us as much information as they can, but it's always a little bit of a bun fight at times, trying to work out exactly who's in what number.
Yeah, so our technical team, Milan, Felix, Rob, Chips, are working frantically, battling a couple of gremlins this morning, but we're 2-2 each, and SMOG2 pinging it into the end zone. Oh, there's a nice bit of movement there from the receiver, just slowed the run and then accelerated towards the disc, but didn't get the hand up and grabbed it in time. And just like to say thanks to a new one of our Patreon subscribers, that's Chris Allen. It was a very generous pledge. Very generous, Chris. Thank you very much. All the coverage here from Nottingham is going free to air for everyone to watch, both now live and on YouTube forever. But if you would like to support it, we'd love to be able to shout you out as one of our Patreon supporters, just to help cover some of the expenses of the amazing team of volunteers and all the equipment costs that we have. So if you would like to do that, however much you can afford, we'd love that to happen. Oh, low disc from Smog.
I think it's Kaylee Ackley, who's one of the captains of this SMOG2 side, going that low one, and it was full extension layout and just didn't quite stick in the clutches. It's always difficult when you're going straight forward like that often, just to get the timing of the closure of that hand right as accurate as it needs to be.
Good defensive positioning, just going around as the pivot came. Flick into space, and Lemmings looking active here. There was a possibility of a deep cut going there, but it's been well marked, and instead they go for the down the line shot. Tried to continuation. Now it's going to happen. good high jump to keep that moving. Oh, just mistimed the grab. It was a good pass. I couldn't see anything wrong with the pass, Benji, but maybe wasn't expecting it to come quite as quickly as it did. That was Andy Partridge misreading that as it goes to ground. And while we're watching a mixed game, it's probably worth pointing out we have a mixed camera team as well. Chips joining us from, I think she's coming to us from the Brighton area. So it's great to have both mixed on field and mixed behind the microphone later on today with Hannah Pendlebury and Ali Thomas.
It's something that I think I've always kind of been slightly cognizant of the fact that we have a very male-heavy team generally. We try and do the best in the booth and on production as well. But yeah, I think maybe perhaps because there are fewer people who are seen to be doing it, it's a lot harder for people to kind of think, I could do that as well.
Yeah.
So it's something that we are conscious of and we are trying to address.
But on field, this mixed performance from Smog is looking really good. And some smart switching there from Lemmings. Worth pointing out when they were exposed. Nice little pass into space. Where's the continuation? No, is it going down the line? A little bit of homeboy 1-2 there. Finding the space into the end zone now. No, it's a travel called.
I think what happened there was Lemmings looked, they saw the upline cut go, and so they think, okay, we're going to switch, so we're going to have the person who was on the force peel off to cover that cut. Smog recognised that, and they bounced it back inside, so the player was in for a brief time not marking anyone, and eventually they get that nice tight stack, which in the end zone gives you those two clear spaces to go into, and they find the cutter free towards the front cone, and Smog will retake a 1-point lead here at 3-2.
And I think that's Yasmin with the score. We are going to have to pull up Smog for the white, black outlined numbers.
What was wrong? What would be wrong with black numbers?
Just big black numbers.
Yeah,
don't outline them. Just make them big and black, and then we'd be able to read out your names.
Or make them big and black, and then outline them in like the blue that you've got for the. Like that would also be anyway. I digress.
We are trying to do trying to help the teams make better kit choices here.
Oh, I had a point earlier that I forgot to finish.
Go on then.
Was about Harry Glasspool and the fact that we used to kind of have a little bit of needling about the fact that Smog were taking inspiration from their young coach, James, who was at that point a baby. And then, obviously, since in the few years since we've commentated on them, Harry's now father of 3 with the young daughter, Katie, and a very, very fresh 2-week-old Matthew as well. So sending love to Harry and to Annie, who we often see suiting up with Smog as well, but is understandably very much resting at home. So yeah, we did mention that we're going to see people in slightly different situations coming out of lockdown than they were in before, and we alluded to this in the first game that there are going to be people who, life moves on even if Frisbee has not. So people are different parts of the country doing different jobs, and some of them have got slightly bigger families now as well, which is nice to see.
Absolutely, and they won't be the only Ultimate players who've used the last 18 months off Ultimate to change their family situation.
I would be very surprised if they were, yeah.
Lemmings here. It's 3-2 to Smog. Lemmings in the red. It's Ollie May on this wing with the 96 shirt. 2 women diving on the floor. No contact made. Maybe some contact made, but they slap hands. It was not the cause of a turnover. I think it was just a little bit beyond the reach.
So still no breaks in this game, but Smog are threatening, and it's the aforementioned Harry Glasspool who is going to pick up the disc and look to power this D-line offense over the line.
And Glasspool in the 1 shirt picks up. They've gone a horizontal stack. A little bit of argy-bargy. Apologies come quickly. And a little bit of a shake of a head, like, what are you doing?
It was late and
dirty.
Well, I mean,
let's have a look at the replay. Here we go. Oosh.
I would not have put it bluntly as that, but yes, it was certainly untoward.
Oh, a little flick into the end zone. That's going to glide nicely. Is there going to be anyone underneath it? Second time of asking, it's cleared up. And great acceleration from Nate, and just takes that disc out from the sky at the back of the end zone.
Good help defense from the Lemmings there, actually. Recognizing that the disc was floating up a little bit, and, you know, good job the help defense was there, because otherwise Smog might have been able to take that in at the back of the end zone.
The Leamington Spa Club, Lemmings, one of the strong geographical teams from the Midlands. Flick upfield. There's going to be some pressure underneath this. It builds, it goes up, and the disc is down on the turf. Great defense from Smog. They are not going to allow you to send up a big disc. I think the receiver there, 22, isn't listed. We're trying our best with the numbers, but you can see why the shot is taken, but it does just hang there a little bit. And Smog, they are generally a pretty athletic team, and so if these discs hang up, they are really going to contest them. That's not a good shot, and it's dealt with in the middle of the field by Nate. Again, that's 2 defenses he's had. Welcome all to our commenters on the YouTube live stream. We would like to know the number 18 shirt for Lemmings. If you do know what she's called, we'd like to know, and also a pronunciation would be handy as well. Into the end zone, and it's picked off at the back for Lemmings as they level it up at 3 apiece, and this mixed game is turning into a nice close battle.
That's quite an indoorsy style throw. That flick with a lot of blade, that outside in edge to really kind of drag it just really tightly down this line, just trying to find the receiver. So here we are. The disc goes up. It's right on the sideline, and it's kind of a creative throw. You may consider it high risk to that very narrow channel down the side of the field, but Nate, you know, he had the faith in his receiver to bring it in, and it was brought in effectively by the chap wearing the number 1 shirt, who I think might be Joel Miller, who we've usually seen in the past for Emo, but also was playing for GB Open at the EUC 2019.
Yes.
He's a PhD astrophysicist, I think.
He's at Nottingham University. I'm in touch with him quite regularly because he invites me down to commentate at any Nottingham Uni, Trent Uni varsity match, which I'm always happy to do so if we can make it happen. But obviously the last 18 months
has not happened.
It's not happened. Yeah. So yeah. Hello, Joel. And,
I'd like to clarify that I am also available for any and all Frisbee commentary.
Yes.
I'm just going to hawk myself out there because it's been so long. I'm absolutely jonesing for a Frisbee fix.
Disc up in the air, and Smog wait for it to come down. What a great pull that is. It's not gotten deep, but it is. Everybody's there. Lemmings are all set up with what looks like a wall defense and coming to chase it down quickly. Smog moving it.
Yeah, I think we need to kind of change perceptions perhaps on what constitutes a good pull. Like, just because it hasn't got into the end zone doesn't mean that it's not a good pull. That one had a lot of float on it, and as you mentioned, it meant that by the time it was caught, the Lemmings defense was right in position, and especially when you're trying to be a little bit crafty and throw perhaps the zone defense out there, that's really important.
Great flow here from Smog, punching their way through this Lemming zone, but the Lemming zone floods back and quickly covers the space into the centre of the field. Must score from here, you would think. They've got options at the back of the end zone, jams it through. Female receiver takes it gratefully. Brilliant work from both teams there. It was an intelligent zone from Lemmings, but Smog never took their foot off the gas. Quick movement of the disc. Never got the stall count above 2 there, Benji. They
sliced them and they diced them and they made it look easy in the end. And that's how you play a zone. You take the open options and you move the disc quickly when it's available, because it meant the defense was always a step behind, really. They're not afraid to take the little handler passes, the crashes, and, you know, towards the end zone, get the disc into the center. It gives you both sides of the field to attack, and then that window just opens through, and it's a comfortable, soft backhand into the end zone, and that puts Smog 1 point to the good once more. They're up 4-3. I think Smog have probably been a bit more comfortable on offense than Lemmings have so far. But as yet, neither side's been able to make a break stick. Yeah, 4-3. 4-3.
4-3 is a score to Smog. Excellent work. And thank you very much for tuning in. If you're tuning in live, if you've tuned in after the game. That's great as well. We'd love it. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to give that thumbs up button a little press. That's the first thing you can do to support us, and it's completely free. What's not completely free, but we'd love to you to do as well, is for you to join and support on Patreon. I'd like to say a big thank you to Patrick from Madx, who has signed up on a monthly basis to donate towards the work of ULTI.TV, and that's very generous. We appreciate his work. If you can't afford to do that, don't worry. You can either make a one-off contribution or sign up for a small monthly donation yourself. Miller now on the sideline for Lemmings. And into the front corner, it's Lemmings completing a pass for a 4-all. And this game is really quite tight. It's elegant stuff there. And I'd recognise the player who just scored that point, but I can't name her. Oh, it is, yes, Mickey.
He was one of the more experienced players, perhaps, on this Lemmings side. Been playing for 14 years.
Yes, and a very regular at the Copa de Crimbo tournaments, where Lemmings are almost
ever present.
Almost ever present. I think they might have missed 1 or 2 years, but you know, Mickey, one of those players that you always like to see at a tournament, and increasingly with her family joining her as well. Good to see the mums being represented out there. 3 kids for her and her family.
I mean, that is something that obviously I cannot quite fathom, you know, going through all the stresses that the body has to go through and then coming back to full fitness and playing on a national stage. You know,
it's amazing.
It's phenomenal, especially because, you know, even an quote unquote easy pregnancy, I guess, is incredibly difficult. So I have the utmost respect for anyone who's able to do it.
At this point, the 2 guys are going to stop talking about this for
yes.
fear of jamming our foot right into a big hole.
Yes.
4-all here in the mixed division here. The Highfield Sports Park in Nottingham, right next door to Nottingham University's main campus, with the Trent building just towering above the trees over to our right, and the UKU Nationals playing its way out. SMOG2 against Lemmings, and the arm is opened up. It's going to come over the head. It's going to be a huge bid. It couldn't quite connect. And unfortunately, Smog with a proper hero maker of a pass. I don't think he was the intended target, but my goodness, he ate up the ground to get there.
God, Smog moved that disc quickly, didn't they? It was rapid, really pinballed it about and looked down. You know what? He might have been the target as well, but the throw's quite flat and laser-like, and it's a full extension bid, and it is agonisingly close from a Smog perspective. I'll tell you what, if that catch had stuck, we'd be seeing that on highlight reels for a fair old time, I think.
Yeah, Alex Haitley.
It's very recognisable with that distinctive haircut, I think.
Yeah, I think Haitley usually wears 77, but he's out here today in 51. Distinctive haircut, I don't think we'll be forgetting him. Nice disc. It's caught a little bit of the breeze, and it's going to be picked off by Smog, who smack it to the ground.
I'll tell you what, there was a brief moment there where I thought, if sometimes this happens, if there's a bit of wind, you smack the tailing edge of the disc, and the disc just pops back up. Catch your D's, people, and that will stop happening. Oh, they're looking deep for Haitley again. This time, he makes the catch stick. Whoa! There we go. Put that one on the highlight reel.
Double-handed, sliding on the chest, taking the high fives of his teammates, and Haitley making up. Well, I don't think he really needed to make up for it, but he wanted to make sure he got a layout D in this point, and he has done. So that takes Smogs back to their 1-point lead. I think it's all on serve at the moment.
It is indeed on serve. These teams just trading out. We're getting a look at it on the replay. Oh, I tell you what, that disc was sinking at quite some speed. So actually, he's done really well, not only to make the catch, but to make sure he's landing and keeping it firmly in his grasp and not ground stripping himself to put Smog up 5-4.
See, we do have a bit more information about Haitley. Is it further down? Oh, he is.
I imagine it is.
Sorry, he is.
What can you tell me, Tom?
Oh, well, I can tell you that during lockdown, Haitley bought a cat so that he wasn't lonely doing his home gym sessions.
Oh, that's quite sweet.
It's novel, isn't it?
You got any pets, Tom?
No. Thanks.
That was.
I have 2
sweet.
kids. That's more than enough.
You know what? Fair enough.
5-4 here down. We just 5-4 is the score. Tom Stiles alongside my good friend Benjamin Rees.
It's good to be back, isn't it, Tom?
It really is. And the sun is out here in Nottingham. The sun coming from behind the pavilion where we are sitting. We're sitting right next to our camera people here. Mixed team of camera staff watching the mixed game as a deep shot goes up, brilliantly chased down all the way into the end zone and showing a real turn of pace. Nate again receiving that disc. Great deep shot and still on serve, 5 apiece.
Look at the speed along the ground, so fleet of foot. Honestly, I thought, wow, this is it's going to have a lot of work to do, but good Lord, was that work put in. Covered the ground so speedily, just seemed to have that little extra gear to kick into, pull away from the defender, and quite rightly, a little bit pumped about making that catch. And now Lemmings, after their offense looking a little bit shaky to start the game, seem to have found a vein of form here. The offense is looking a lot more smooth, and they've knotted up at 5 apiece. This is, I'll tell you what, it really does feel like one break, the way this is going, might be enough to decide the game.
Well, it's desperately tight, isn't it? Desperately tight.
That's what you like to see at Nationals.
If you'd like to get in touch with us, just drop us a message in the comments. We are trying to keep abreast of the comments on YouTube if you're watching live. And Cameron getting in touch. We have had a few technical gremlins. We'll always have a few technical gremlins with a new setup, new Wi-Fi, new technology,
especially
new team.
Especially given that it's been
in
storage for a couple of years.
Yes, but we are back up and hoping that you're able to see the pictures here from Nottingham and hear our voices. Finding the reset and working the way through. Bit of a fluttery pass, but makes its way out to this side. Breeze is causing a few little disc wobbles. Moving through the air. Good coverage in the end zone from Lemmings, taking away the options as they arrive.
I like that Smog are pretty comfortable generally to work it around the hander set and look for those break passes. But that time thought about the cut, started, stopped, pulled out, but the disc had already gone and it hits the turf, and that's going to be an opportunity for Lemmings to try and break for the first time.
Yeah, a bit of miscommunication between the two handlers. The old which fake do I buy? Miller cutting, turns to go deep. Reset around through the female handler. The 33 shirt. But it's not connected. Smog with the disc again. Well, yeah, we've not seen a single point in the other end zone so far, have we?
Yeah, the wind, it is going towards this left-hand end zone, but it's not, it's not a fierce upwind, downwind game.
No. It's just finding a way to get these breaks to stick. Has been a challenge, and another point on serve to Smog. They re-establish that 1-point margin. It's 6-5 the score, 100% on serve. There has been turns, but none of them have been converted so far.
No, and that time they looked very good after the turn, and they used a little bit of creativity there just to open the door. We see it here, looking inside. Oh, we'll go for the little high release flick. Spears makes the catch, tosses that backhand, and some balletic footwork at the front of the end zone from Smog puts them 6-5 up.
Yes.
Just trying to find out who. Oh, there we are.
Quinn.
There we are.
5 foot 6.5.
Does the half really matter?
Well, it does when you've only got 5'6", Benj.
I don't know what your point is, Tom. So this won't mean anything to people who don't know what we look like. But I am 5'4", and no more, and I have no problem with that. So it's always interesting when people feel the need to specify or like slightly exaggerate their like. Does it really matter? Really? I mean, look. I get that it matters to an extent. Like, I'm not going to go up against someone who's 6'4". Like, that's just not going to happen. But, you know.
Hey, look! Don't take a half-inch away, man.
It's
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, it's not how tall you are; it's what you do with it that matters.
Anyway, Lemmings on field now. 18 shirt for Lemmings, making their way down the far side. Another short disc, big bid coming through. Mickey cutting her in that round the end zone, trying to go for that back corner. Front corner available. Now they're swinging it back across.
Continuation cut was just a second or two too late that time.
Or tried to get the front feet down. The Smog defense on that open side has been really impressive. The couple of times there was a threat and the Smog defensive player was right in the correct spot, taking away those options, and they had to go for that switch back. Couldn't make it stick, and Lemmings no problem dealing with that deep shot that was downfield and back in the hands of the team in red.
Yeah, ambitious, but it didn't quite come off. And there's another ambitious deep look here. It's blading towards the back, but it's overcooked. And even if they had the speed to catch up with it, don't think it would have been a very tough job to keep it in bounds. Yeah,
looking a bit tired. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a timeout at this point, because both teams are making unnecessary errors with their deep shots.
I tell you what, I think if SMOG2 work it a decent length of the way down the field and they get within a decent side of that far end zone, they might well take a timeout, because breaks have not come at all in this game. So getting that extra nose in front might be crucial.
I think this is where your really good mixed teams that can connect those deep shots to their women, or can use their women in the handling positions. That's where the strength comes out. That was a throw to a guy when it was a woman on the end of it. So, you know, it ended up being 10 meters out of reach. It's the sort of thing that, you know, a more experienced mixed team, he's standing out of bounds, you're going to be in trouble. He's back in bounds now.
He got the message in the end.
Yeah, he's gone deep though. Can he make it count? No. Good, smart switching downfield from Lemmings takes away the options. His glass pull exchanges discs again, and he's got it back now, the number 1 shirt. Steps forward. They're at halfway now. This might be an opportunity for Smog. Wouldn't normally be excited by a sort of a midfield possession with no real momentum, but it's the closest we've got to a break so far in this game. These teams trading on serve so far. Glass pull again. Nice shot forward into the hands just shy of the brick mark. Better from Smog and into the end zone. The two women connect and Smog break the Lemmings to take a 7-5 lead. A big turning point in this game, Benji.
Beautiful offense that time from Smog. It looked a lot more chilled, a lot more calm. They were working it through the handlers nicely. Heather Williams was doing a really good job. You know, sometimes she's coming into the backfield, distributing. Another time she was pushing downfield and coming underneath to help keep the steady flow of the disc. And in the end, they got the shots free down the break side. Nice connection. Not much of a window, so the throw had to be precise. Precise it was, and that's going to give Smog the game's first break. They're 7-5 up, and I tell you what, given how, you know, the majority of points have been scored in that left-hand end zone, another break here puts Smog 8-5 up going into half, and that might be too much for Lemmings, the way this game has gone so far.
I think that was Laura Triggs in the end zone for the score. She played WUCC in Cincinnati, and she's been playing for 13 years.
Of course, that's last W. You mean the World Ultimate Club Championships in 2018.
2018,
as opposed to the World Ultimate Club Championships in 2022,
which is also in Cincinnati.
Which is also in the very same field site, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's an 47 fields or something ridiculous like that.
I mean, it has to be because Club Worlds is a huge tournament. I mean, both in terms of obviously stakes, but also in terms of scale, the number of teams that come. It was a huge event last time, and a real pleasure to be out there as part of the official WFDF commentary team.
There was 4 fields being broadcast that tournament, so it didn't pretty much matter where your team was. We got
ULTIF was responsible for producing 2 of the fields. ULTI had a pitch of their own, and ULTI.TV was operating a pitch for fan seat as well.
That's right.
So it'll be interesting to see this time round whether we, hopefully, fingers crossed, COVID is
done and dusted
in the rearview mirror.
Yes,
and we can have a lot of Ultimate being streamed in 2022 as well. Not just at WUCC, but at many other potential tournaments.
Well, World Beach is in LA.
It is. I mean, even in the couple of months, even in the month and a half after this, we've still got so much Ultimate coming up. We're at Glastonbury for UK Masters Nationals in a couple of weeks' time. We're doing coverage of, and this is a mouthful, WGGM BUCC. The World Great Grandmasters Beach Ultimate Club Championships in Sardinia the last weekend of September. And we're doing XUCF as well in the first weekend of October. So plenty of good stuff to come on ULTI.TV. And if you want to be a part of it, you can get involved by just commenting, sharing it on the socials, or by giving us a one-off donation, or becoming a patron on our Patreon page, where you can find more details at www.ULTI.TV.
Yeah, and it's incredibly supportive people have just got behind the idea of making a small regular monthly donation to ULTI.TV to just keep the coverage flowing. It makes a massive difference to us knowing that we've got some a little bit of cash to support the volunteers, to make sure our equipment's up to scratch, and bring you the coverage from around the world.
That is a beautiful throw out into space from Glasspool.
Big gainer for Smog. They're looking to find a reset here, and does. Glasspool again, getting a little tap on the back. No complaints. Flicks it forward. Oh, beautiful disc from Glasspool. Floated downwind into the end zone, and they take the half. They've traded to 5 each, and then all of a sudden Smog have found a couple of breaks, and they've taken the half 8-5. And Lemmings, a little bit of change of momentum. They're going to struggle to come back from this.
Someone on the sidelines got an old-fashioned wooden rattle. I haven't seen one of those in years. I'll tell you what, the cheek and the nonchalance of this throw from Glasspool, looking downfield, he sees the cut come from the hander set towards that break side space. How can I get it here? High release lefty, just going to sit it on the wind, out into space. Receiver's got position, it's in front, comfortable clap catch, and I'll tell you what, Smog, as you mentioned, they've put a couple of breaks in on the trot. It seems like they found an extra gear to go into. At half-time, Lemmings are going to think, what happened? We were at 5-all, it seemed pretty even, and all of a sudden, we're 3 behind. What can we do to change things up?
We see the Trent building tower over the field, as we see some of the highlights from that first half. Big disc going down from Haitley, and a big grab. Pumped to see that one connect.
It was that audacious little high release flick.
And we'll be back with the second half after these messages.
We are a group of Ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and fund our work
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Welcome to Nottingham. The second half will be breaking out just shortly. Myself, Tom Stiles, alongside my good friend Benji Rees, here at the Highfields Sports Stadium or Sports Park next to Nottingham University. Nottingham host to many a Frisbee tournament over the years, being its central location. Ideal. It's 5 hours from Cornwall, 5 hours from Edinburgh. Who could ask for a more perfect venue? And we're not in our usual wind farm location. This new venue for UK Ultimate down here at Nottingham University. It's the Nottingham University own the fields down at the wind farm venue, but these are their city centre fields. We've got the Nottingham Hockey Club and the Nottingham Tennis Centre, where they play a grass court tennis championship every year.
They do indeed. It's a nice little warm-up for Wimbledon.
And we're on the same road, University Boulevard. And Benji, you were saying that you were surprised it was a boulevard. Well, it's one of a number of boulevards around
You know
Nottingham.
what? I can see it. You've got the trees lining either side of the road. It's quite picturesque for Nottingham.
It is. And just down, you see the stone building over to our right, just at the side of the road down there, Benji.
I can indeed, but in the far distance.
Now, that's the gateway to the sort of formal grounds of Nottingham University. And if you walk up there, you see the Trent building towering above you. But over to the right of that is the Nottingham Croquet Club.
Ooh la la.
Where as a school child, our headmaster was all about introducing us to all sorts of exciting sports. And I got to play croquet with the Nottingham Croquet Club, which was fascinating, on those very fields.
One of my highlights of lockdown last summer was, because the weather was glorious, we were fortunately able to spend a decent amount of time playing croquet in our back garden. It was great fun. Just, I'm not sure our flower pots agreed.
No.
Sorry if my parents are listening. It was an accident, but it was a very funny accident, so I think we'll allow it. Yeah, it's great fun, actually, croquet.
Yes, it's good. It's like snooker and bowls.
Yes, it's just, I mean,
With
fundamentally, it's just really fun hitting balls with a mallet, especially if you get them the chance to roquet other people's balls and hit them in all sorts of different directions. It's very funny. we got very competitive with it. It's one of the few ways I was able to do some sort of sport during that first lockdown. Couldn't persuade my family to go out and have a throw, unfortunately.
And unfortunately, because of the bank holiday, we have so far had a tram-free day. But I'm hoping the trams will be back tomorrow, because the tram line runs right behind the back of this game. And I'm sure there's some sort of drinking game that could be invented around the appearance of trams.
I was so looking forward to a tram cam, I will be honest.
Second half is underway as the Lemmings in red take on SMOG2. A deep shot coming downfield. Glasspool's going to read it and knocks it out of bounds. And
this is one of the disadvantages of trying to take those shots down the sideline, is that obviously, as you know, as a receiver, you're constrained by the field because there's no point catching it if you're out of bounds. But as a defender, you're under no such restraints, and you can just go out there and happily mop it up out of the field. And that's why it's kind of, you've got a smaller margin for error perhaps when you're really trying to scythe it down that narrow sideline channel.
Reset for Smog. Looking to find a reset. Centre of the field. Reaches up, takes it down, looking for that deep shot. And Mickey says no. Slams the door, grabs with both hands. Deep shot going downfield. Will it float long enough? She's chasing down. She's got the wheels to get there. She could have laid, didn't lay, and now she's kicking herself because she knew that was the opportunity to be a hero in front of the cameras, and it might never happen again. But it was a great disc. It just wasn't quite hanging long enough for her.
Yeah, just maybe a little bit too much on it as well. It's one of those things where you have to be going at full pelt, and then at full pelt as well. Somehow find a way of getting into that perfect layout form as well. It's asking a lot of a receiver, and you know, it's a good shot because, as you know, they had the steps deep, and it was certainly an opportunity, but they just couldn't quite get the connection sorted.
There's a 10 shirt of Amelia. Didn't quite connect with that deep shot, but you might have another opportunity now because Smog have turned it over again.
Now, Lemmings picking up, and they're immediately in the red zone. They could very comfortably score in one pass. They've got Miller isolated at the front of the end zone, and the poached defender leaves the swing free, so a good option to take that reset.
Miller lurking, but Smog are doing very well to just compress that space and hang into the lanes. Flick across the top. Who's going to be underneath it? Oh, it's taken down with a trailing edge grab. And Smog could have been a little bit more aggressive on the defense, but kept out of the way. Safe play, but What do you think about that defensive positioning there from Smog? Is there a call being made?
I don't think so. I think that maybe they're just a little bit unhappy, perhaps with the. I think everyone seems to assume it's a goal. I think maybe there's a little bit of discussion about it afterwards. Yeah, I think if perhaps what maybe happens is just a bit more communication earlier that disc is coming up into that space, so you've got time to properly pivot around, see that it's there, get into that space nice and early before the receiver can even get into that, make the grab as an option. So maybe just a little bit of a communication breakdown perhaps for Smog, and they are engaged in discussion, so just talking about it as well, which is, it's much better that teams talk it out rather than kind of harbour any sort of resentment about it.
Yeah, it was a good chat that the two of them had. Didn't try to sort of interfere with the score and the call. It's Callum McGowan was the Smog defender there that I think both of us felt maybe could have had a better bid at that disc, but pulled out because of the fast advancing Sanders.
And you know what I think that actually generally teams need to do better jobs of pulling out of bids that they think might be dangerous or cause too much contact. So sometimes, that is to be applauded, I think.
So McGowan, well done. We think, all in all, well done, McGowan. I think that's what we're saying, isn't it?
Good Frisbee.
Good Frisbee. Ultimate one in the end.
Boo. What a cliche.
Yeah.
Good start to the second half, though, from Lemmings. If they'd have let Smog get another break in there, go 9-5 up, I think that would have been their chances completely snuffed out. But at 8-6, you're only 2 points down. You're still very much alive in this fight.
Yeah, and SMOG2, even though they were a second team, they're a second team from Smog, who's one of the hottest mixed ultimate clubs in the country. Haitley had got the disc in hand, was looking downfield. There's been a fast cut going across. Oh, brilliant. Great cut, and she got deep and was free in the end zone there. Just trying to see the number on the shorts. SMOG2.
It's difficult to pick out from distance, isn't it? Especially when they've got our backs to us. Not that, and the numbers are a bit difficult to read from range.
Oh, it's Sarah. She was on the under-24 team in Heidelberg. By the way, Benji.
You're wearing
I am wearing my Heidelberg shirt today.
I'm wearing an actual shirt, like a real human, and not some sort of Frisbee monster. Beautiful flowing offense there from the Smog O-line. Yeah, nearly made a mess of that one. That's the first time we've seen them since it was 5-5 and they made it 6-5. So often it's really difficult after your team goes on a break run, you've got half time, you come out in the second half of D as well. Your offense sometimes comes in and they're a little bit cold because they haven't seen the field for a decent amount of game time. So actually to come out there like it was nothing, like actually, you know what, the break's done us good, we look a bit more refreshed, we've got a bit more energy, is to be credited.
Yeah, Sarah was free 3 times in that point, and in a significant way provided a lot of options. And certainly Haitley was no hesitation when he saw her free in the end zone to sending that disc. And you're seeing some of the women pulling now. This is a change to the rules which has been brought in. If you are playing 4 women, which you have to now on rotation. We will explain that rule a bit more thoroughly. But it has to be a woman that pulls as well, which I think is a nice addition to the rules.
Yes, whichever gender is in the majority, whether it's, so if it's 4 men, that's a man, or if it's 4 women, that's a woman. That gender, someone from that gender does the pulling, which I think is good because it encourages more women taking kind of pulling roles, which is good because often I think it's just assumed that they will not pull because the guys do it, which is a bit of a problem. This is good offense from Smog. There's a deep shot available.
It's a bit of,
they thought about it, but it's going to get called back for a pick as everyone's advancing downfield.
Yes, I'm not sure what the reason was, but the offensive player in the end zone didn't really feel like it was going to be her to make a cut there.
Maybe the timing, I think, was a little bit. She was already quite deep by the time he was looking up for the throw, so perhaps, not the most space to come into, or maybe just thinking, you know what?
Not me, not now.
Yes, for whatever reason, the timing's not quite right.
Glasspool fires one inside. It's going to hang in the air a little bit long. He's going to run out of space. Tries to knock it back in for a greatest, but does make contact with the disc in that back corner. So it will come to the front corner under the control of Lemmings.
Yeah, Glasspool being aggressive with that inside-out flick. Use the pivot around to move the mark, Joel Miller, over towards that backhand side. So it opened up that window for the throw, but it was just out of bounds, too strong. Yeah, as we mentioned, so with the dominant gender on the pitch does the pulling, which is good because it means more women pull. And also because I think hopefully this will change the idea of what teams want to do with their pull, because usually it's just guy takes it and tries to throw it as far as possible. Whereas hopefully I think teams will see that actually there's more that we can do with the pool with that. Things like floaters or sideline traps. And the gender, as we mentioned, it's kind of on rotation. It's the ABBA rule. So you go 4-3 and then 3-4, 3-4, 4-3. And then after the first point you alternate every 2 points. So that there's always, so that teams are forced to play, you know, with both genders on the pitch for an equal amount of time, which I think is a very good rule.
Proper mixed.
Absolutely. Gone are the days when teams would just always play 4 guys all the time, which I hated.
There's a good pick-off in the middle of the field for Lemmings. Trying to get themselves back into this one. They trail SMOG2. Big bid coming there, but the disc makes it safely into the hands of Mickey. Amelia was going deep, but Mickey couldn't quite control her enthusiasm, and disc disappears into the turf.
That was strange. It just
strange.
kind of flopped out of the hand. Maybe just didn't have quite a tight enough grasp on it. And, you know, unfortunately, sometimes that just happens. It's never nice to see for anyone. But
oh, the disc from Glasspool wasn't a good one. Didn't carry. Asked a little bit too much. It was low and wobbly. Maybe diving on that would have been the play, but didn't. Great disc to Mickey. Finds herself with space, but no cutters to look at. Trying to get themselves free. Lemmings blast back to the middle of the field. Options left and right, but no one cutting. Again, a little bit static from Lemmings. Where's that burst of energy right now? The Smog defense are stifling everything that arrives. Frustration from the handlers and a block, and you can see why that the Lemmings are struggling to get free. And you know that feeling when you are a cutter and you know I don't feel I can actually get free from my mark.
yes, I know it very well.
And so you just stop cutting. You just thought, well, I can't burn from this position to get myself free. And there was some contact made on that block. It's been called.
Sidelines giving, I think, had a perspective on it as well. It's always interesting. It was very tight and very congested in there. And when you're trying to get that through that inside out, often you've got the defender on that coming from that open side.
Let's have a look at the
so they do
replay
have
here.
a little bit of a lane for it. Oh, it's tight, isn't it?
Well, there was no contact made with the hand at all. So this can only be a strip call. And I don't think it's a good strip call.
Yeah, and the call has been retracted. So, as we mentioned before, I like that. You know, take the time to call it, talk it through. Okay, I agree, retracted, and Glasspool's going back for that lefty backhand. That time he got out of jail free there because that was very dangerous. And
Glasspool needs to tidy up his handling here a little bit. He's got 3 discs now. One in the back corner where he overthrew. There's a fluttery disc here. He's just almost turned it away, got rescued by a teammate there. And then into the end zone. Just needs to put the foot, take the foot off the gas a little bit. Be a bit more steady with the disc. He has been their main channel for SMOG2, looking deep. Benji, what advice would you be? Put your arm around your shoulder of James Glasspool now. What's your words in his ear?
the thing is, especially as you know, when you're marshalling the D-line offense, you're expected to perhaps to take those shots a bit more than you would as an O-line handler, where you're kind of expected to probably be a bit more safe and conservative. So you know what? Just say after the point, maybe have a couple of throws on the sideline. But there's a reason that he's got that role on the D-line, and it's because he's not afraid to take those shots. And so there's an extent. If you've got to let the shooters shoot, hello, that's a foot block.
First of the day for the foot getting involved here. Let's see this. Really active limber limbs. Just gets the toe up, sees the threat.
I love that. I love that.
And Smog2 with a real opportunity here to take a 10-6 lead. Cuts across. Glasspool's discs are still a little bit errant. And it rose and rose, but got up to it. Took it out of the sky. Great grab from Callum McGowan, who exploded into the air.
Tell you what, it's not a bad bookend to that, really, is it?
No.
Getting the foot block, burn up line, take a rising grab. Smog with a break. No, hang on. Trying to do maths.
I think it was a break.
I think it was a break, yeah. So they're now 10-6 up, and they are beginning to pull away from their Leamington opponents right now.
Yeah, Smog2 up here in this mixed division game from UKU Nationals, brought to you by ULTI.TV. Myself, Tom Stiles, alongside Benji Rees. And very happy to be out here in the sunshine in Nottingham at the Highfield Sports Park. Wherever you're watching, if you're on YouTube, don't forget to share the link or give it a like. And we are trying to follow the chat as well. The chat on YouTube does tend to be go this, go that, yes, no.
It's never. Look, I'm not. I cherish and invite everyone in the YouTube chat.
We love you all.
It is greatly appreciated.
Daniel Harrison's in there. Elizabeth F. Sue Ellis is there.
But it's not necessarily known as the place for elaborately constructed, well thought out theorems and reasoning.
No,
necessarily.
No.
Such is the nature of the beast.
It's where debate goes to die, isn't it? The YouTube comments.
A wise philosopher once said, "Never read the bottom half of the internet."
Yes. Ali with the disc. Down to Amelia. Amelia sends it. Oh, that's a lovely disc. Come back in. Oh, and it does. Catches with the toes in. So it wasn't Amelia. My bad. That was 33. 33, which was Eleanor Stratton.
There we go. Yeah, nice disc. Blade down the sideline. He had a bit of time to set his feet, and he did so brilliantly as well. And because kept his feet in bounds, which is the main objective, but he kind of weighed it up and said, you know what, I don't have to have my feet right on the line. I can put myself in a position where I'm very clearly in and still comfortable enough to make the catch.
Yeah, did great. Point for Lemmings. Brings them back within 3. They still have some work to do. Can their D-line now come out? They're going... That's an upwind point for what the wind is worth. It's not a big factor in this game, but it might... We have seen a few sort of bobbly discs when they have been shooting that direction.
I think we've seen Lemmings, they've looked fluent at times on offense, but we haven't seen them convert any breaks so far this game. So first they've got to turn the Smog offense that's been looking pretty good the last couple of times we've seen it. And then you've also got to try and find a way to finally get your D-line offense over the line.
Smog then. This team from the north of England with 2 squads here looking to take the national title with their first team and looking to do it as well as they possibly can with their second team. They're doing very nicely against the Lemmings here. Oh, the disc from Haitley was good. Floated, but a little knifey.
The classic receiver. Oh, my hands. Why did you do that? I had it in my hand.
The 82 shirt isn't on our roster.
It's difficult to... as I mentioned, Smog gets solid numbers.
Yes, no more outline numbers, please.
If I had my way, things would be different around here.
Yes, we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Let's see what Lemmings are doing now. They have an opportunity. We said they need to get their O-line out, their D-line out, and get a turn. They've done that. Can they now put it in? Deep shot goes up. There's a player underneath it. Going to be some pressure from Smog, but it's gliding towards the back corner. What a disc that is, exposing the space and letting the Lemmings player just adjust the speed of their run, chasing it down, and he catches it high above the defender. Great play, and they are back within 2.
First Lemmings break of the game. Well, we put the question out there. Could they find the answer? Well, apparently they can. Got not just one, but a couple of turns, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. And you know, couldn't convert it the first time of asking, and in the end, we mentioned that often you let your players on the D-line be a bit more expansive with the shots they take because you back your D-line to get it back as well, and that time the receiver had position, bodied out the defender, and made the nice high catch, rising with 2 hands as well, making sure that it didn't go to ground, and that's Lemmings' first break of the game.
Andy Partridge with the deep shot, Peach with the grab in the end zone, and just talking about numbers on shirts. This is for anybody who's thinking about redesigning their kits. We're not just talking about this. We have written some guidance for WFDF, and we will share that with the UKU as well about how to do numbers on shirts. But the problem with the Smog kit is that you can read it from 10 meters away, but you can't read it from 100 meters away, which really is the standard. Whereas because those outline numbers just don't stand out, and even our cameras are struggling to pick them out, so you probably can't see from home either. That's really what we're looking for. You want to be able to see who these players are, and not just by recognising them personally because you know them. You need to be able to read their numbers. SMOG2 now. Oh, floating one forward and finding a bit of a gap. Haley cuts inside. Can he find a way through? No. Reset. Threatens the hammer. Not a realistic threat, to be honest. Now it might have to be. Jabs it down the line. Oh, picks it off the turf. What a grab. There was sprawling Lemmings players coming in to get a contact on that, but couldn't. And Smog stopping the rot. 11-8.
If you're looking at the stats, that goes down as a clean hold because they didn't turn it. How clean it was is up for debate. It had an overthrow or two, but, credit the Smog offense because they backed it up. They had players who were ready to make those second effort plays, and in the end, they're just able to squeeze it into, I think, Morris on the far side for Smog to regain their 3-point advantage. The problem was they had a lot of options down. Everyone cleared out downfield, so there was no reset. And, on a high stall, no reset, may as well take the shot into the end zone. And thankfully, from a Smog perspective, it is reeled in by Morris.
Yeah, Lily Morris has been doing great work. We asked her how did she spend lockdown. And she said did actually manage to get out and do a lot of throwing, which definitely wouldn't have done if the season had gone ahead as normal. So good for her.
This is the thing, as we mentioned, lockdown has changed a lot of situations for pretty much everyone. Some people, it's put them in because they've had to shield or be responsible for other people who were shielding. They've been relatively confined, and then for other people, commitments that they would have had, all of a sudden they're not there. So actually, if you can find a way of spending that time productively, which, during a global pandemic, a lot easier said than done. Sometimes getting the effort to just go and have a throw is a lot harder than it sounds. Been evidently those extra repetitions have paid off.
Lemmings with the disc. And UK Ultimate, whose job has normally been to grow the sport, their job has really been to stop people playing Ultimate for in a very sensible way for the last 18 months. And they've done a great job of that. But it's back on now. We're very happy to see it is as Glasspool cleans up that deep shot from Lemmings. Miller the target. Those two have had a good matchup today. They've very, very rarely left each other's side.
Yeah, box office stuff, and that time Glasspool wins the 1v1. But another overthrow. These have crept into his game in the second half.
Deep shot. Who's going to be underneath it? Amelia, chance to lay out. This time she does lay out, trying to get on the end of that one. Earlier in the game, she had a big chase down into that back corner. Didn't lay out. And that time really wanted to make sure she got as close to the disc as she possibly could. Let's see it again. God, good form at the end, but the disc was always beyond her, just drifting on that wind.
Yeah, maybe you need to be a little bit more judicious about when they're taking those shots and be a bit more conscious as well. Okay, the wind is going to slightly push that out the back. It's not a huge effect, but perhaps it's enough to push that throw slightly too far for the receiver to catch.
Yeah, it is the difference in these fine margins between catching it in stride and just pushing it beyond a layout. SMOG2 moving it to the centre of the field, looking for that deep shot, floats it on the wind, and this time the wind will help. He'll hold it up. It holds it up high and beautiful. Walks onto the disc and takes it out of the sky. Is that Heather?
Yeah, I think it is Heather Williams. It's a perfectly weighted deep shot as well. Just got that slight IO curve on it as well. And I wondered for a moment, actually, was the wind going to take it and tip it and blade it? But actually, it sat out beautifully for Williams to just stride onto. Did not even have to break stride. What a deep throw against a slightly blustery wind. Going to see it again now on the replay. And I tell you what, you can't really do it any better than that.
Yeah, she played European Masters Ultimate Championships and won bronze and spirit, and also getting bookends in the first point in the first game against Cafe de Luida in WUCC in Cincinnati. So great to see Heather out here with all her international experience.
Yeah, the Cafe de Luida, very strong Japanese. I think they're Japanese. Japanese team. Yeah, that was a tough pool that Smog found themselves in. Quitted themselves relatively well. You mentioned bringing that international experience onto the field here with Smog, and she does a lot of work, as you mentioned, doing and coordinating master stuff as well. And she's a good teammate to have, A, because she's good at Frisbee, which is always a bonus, and B, as you mentioned, that background of organisation and those spirit medals as well. It's good to have players like that on your team. It's good to have good influences.
Absolutely.
Oh, there's a tram. Sorry.
Oh, there's a first tram of the day. And that's made your day, hasn't it? Mickey now for Lemmings. Receives the disc from Eleanor Stratton. She goes deep. Miller in the middle now. Oh, the deep shot has gone. Will it hang? No, just gets a bit of a outside edge down, and even the bid from, I think, is that Nate?
I believe so. I mean, I admire the effort. It was, I think, always going to be in vain, but you never know, I guess.
He showed he was throwing everything at it.
Yeah, I also think by the time he'd gone, the disc might have already hit the floor. But it doesn't. I'm not sure that really matters. It's showing that, look, if the disc was biddable, I definitely would have bid for it.
Definitely would have bid.
And, as a thrower, it gives you a little bit more confidence that your receiver's got the commitment involved.
Somehow that managed to make it through to a SMOG2 player. The white shirts still have it. Floats it nicely into space. McGowan's got on his bike and headed off to the end zone, but it's not going to be found this time. Clark. Disc around. Floats it across. What a disc that is, into the corner. Clark collects on his knees, bouncing across to the corner. There's going to be some conversation about whether Clark was in or not in that corner. Benji, your view?
Wow, the disc really picked up speed as it left the hand, didn't it? I mean, it seemed like see what she was going for, and it did seem to pick up speed. They've called it a goal on the field. Look at it again on the replay. That looks good to me. And I'll tell you what, when you hit the ground relatively hard, sometimes it's difficult to keep control of it. But they talked about it on the sideline, got a view, and they've called it a goal. Good goal for Smog as well. Just reopening that lead a little bit as the hooter goes in the background, but it went after the point, so we will finish this point and then add one to the highest score. So it'll be 12-9 in a game to 13, or it'll be 13-8 in a game to 14.
Either way, it's been a great game. It's been a very entertaining game.
It was so tight for the first 10 points, and then since then, Smog just, maybe they've got a little bit more experience of winning games at this level. Maybe they've got a slightly bigger squad. They're more used to playing with each other, perhaps, and that's beginning to tell. And they've opened up a little bit of a gap now over their opponents.
And there's been a couple of opportunities for Lemmings where it's just not quite worked out. Deep shots into this end zone where it's drifted away. And Smog, they've had a couple of moments where the luck has gone their way. Things that didn't really have any right to come down with. They've come down with it. And maybe those fine margins in a game like this, both teams will look back and go, well, actually, on another day, another set of circumstances, that could have gone the other way. But Smog taking their opportunities at the moment and in the lead. Lemmings with a chance. Stratton grabs it, looks down the field. There was an option, but she didn't take it. Finds a safe pair of hands. Fakes down the line. Fakes back to Stratton. Has got a good cut coming. That's floated, but there's plenty of time to catch it. Haitley coming to take away any options. Big outstretched arms for Smog2 man. Again, the fake. Stratton doing the hard work down that far side. Can she find anything further into the end zone? There's a good poaching by Smog2, taking away that second chance. Third chance, and this time an eye on the cone. Didn't keep the eyes on the disc. It drops to the turf, and it's a turnover to Smog2.
It was all very centred or clustered in that front corner. What I would like to see, and after a couple of seconds, do we have an immediate look there? No, we don't. And rather than just kind of peek in field, properly square up your hips, get that inward pivot going on. So look, we're making a conscious effort to get it off the sideline here, because it gives our offense so much more room to work with.
Yeah, the timing of that cut meant Stratton had to really she wasn't in position to make that throw, had to flick it. Didn't quite come out as balanced or as calmly as she would have liked. Just needing to work on their timing a little bit. A blasted sidearm to Haitley. Now for Smog2. Working it through the middle. Sarah again. Some of the players have only provided their first names. That's absolutely fine by us.
I thought the deep shot for Haitley was on for a second, but Smog had other ideas.
He's like, come on. Third time of asking, I'm here. I want the disc. That was a look-off if ever I've seen one. And Haitley this time does float it through the middle, but having been looked off once, I don't think she was ready to get that disc back. It was Lizzie Plassam Scott, who had made that good cut, been looked off once, went back across, and then Haitley saw her, tried to make the pass, but I don't think she was ready for it. Deep shot from Lemmings, trying to get themselves back into this last point. So not last point, but closing part of the game. Goes to turf.
And I think players looking a little bit leggy and a little bit fatigued at this point in the game. This is their second game of the day, I think. So,
well, we've got a quick moment. Just like to say hello to Rasmus Otja, who's just become our latest Patreon. Thank you very much, Rasmus.
Greatly appreciated.
Yeah, you too can also support live Ultimate from around the world. UK, Europe, ULTI.TV bringing you the coverage. And also in Australia, where Mike Palmer currently is. Sarah making another great cut. She's really shown clean pair of heels to her defender. Oh, this time doesn't quite have the reach round. Diminutive figure gives her several advantages on the Frisbee pitch, but reach is not one of them.
Yeah, the hand was right there in position, so it's not one of those just quick flash reaction, just setting the force nice and strong, and the disc goes straight into the hand.
Did the work with the feet, though, didn't she?
Absolutely.
As she pivoted, she was like, just a little movement of the feet, and I'm always going to have my hand ready for you.
The footwork's so important. It's that little shuffle. You're not lunging. You're keeping yourself balanced, going with the backside foot first, so you're keeping yourself light and on the toes.
Yeah, Stratton with the block for Lemmings, getting themselves another opportunity. Can they stuff it into this front corner? Smog always in position on that side. Stratton making the cut, doesn't quite have the pace to get herself free. An inside flick, there's space opening up on the break side, but Smog quickly move across and take that away. It's got to be on the open side, or this time, can it be? Yes, they managed to break around. That's how you score against that defense. And Lemmings eventually pulling it one back, and it's 13-9. It's going to be it's a game to 14.
A very conscious effort there by Smog. When the discs, when they were able to get those little resets out, the handler, the defender who was marking the previous thrower, they would immediately take a step back and sag into the end zone. So one thing they're very conscious of is just stopping the quick dish off and then the jam in. So they're sagging off slightly to clog that space. And Lemmings doing exactly the right thing. Okay, that's not there. Let's look and let's reset and give ourselves more space to work with. And in the end, it was that big swing, and they got it all the way across from being right on that sideline to scoring close to this front cone. That is dump and swing offense like you love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the first tactics you learn as a beginner is the dump and swing.
If you're, so many teams use vertical stacks. And the key proponent of that is when things are congested and they are clogged downfield, which they often can be, is knowing that you have the ability to open up the field, not just by being aggressive and with the mark downfield, but by squaring up, taking the resets, taking the swings, and changing the angles of attack slightly.
So this mixed game here from UKU Nationals in Nottingham at the Highfield Sports Park. This mixed game is SMOG2 and Lemmings, and SMOG2 13-9 to the good. It's a game to 14. Can they take this game out? Lemmings have got all the work to do. Coming out on defense. Floated pull into the breeze, and it's arcing back. It's not got much beyond the halfway mark. And immediately the three handlers of Smog are set up, and it's a zone look from Lemmings. We've not seen very much of that from them this game.
With the wind picking up a little bit, maybe they're thinking, you know what, if we're going to die, there's no point dying wandering, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's a lovely find, scything through the front teeth of that zone, though, to gain a lot of yards downfield.
Yeah, it did work really nicely, finding the gap. Had to be a quick disc, but it was well received. Downwind as well. Big fake.
The calls come to transition into going one-on-one defense, but there's going to be players free while Lemmings make the adjustment.
Miller comes to mark now. Looking for a way round. Flicks it into the end zone. It's a lovely disc for a classy finish to an excellent game for SMOG2. They really have shown this club from the north of England have got strength in depth. They'll be looking to become the champions of the mixed division, but their second team have acquitted themselves very nicely against a strong and determined team from Leamington. The Lemmings have done a good job, and they'll be happy with their 9 points. And at certain times of the game, it could have gone either way, Benji, but a great show from the mixed division here.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that it was 5 all at one stage, with neither side able to find the breaks. As we just get a replay of the final score, really using the full depth of the end zone here. Cut towards the front cone, they see it's covered, so, sharp, plant the foot, head towards the back cone, that blade into space, finds the target. A player who I've been waiting to talk about actually throughout the game is the number 99, Ed Graham, because what is your ultimate highlight? It is, if I can find it, filling out a form for commentators to use.
There we go.
So there we go. Hopefully we have made your day.
Thanks very much for everyone who's been watching and commenting on YouTube. Just the last thing you need you to do before you go is click that like button. It's completely free to do that, and we'd love you to do it. And we'd like to say thanks to all the members of Patreon who are making this happen, and particularly to our ultimate producer, Patrick from Madx, who's been fantastic and helping supporters. And it doesn't matter how much or little you want to give. Patreon has got a variety of different ways you can contribute, either as a one-off donation if you'd like to say thanks for this coverage from this tournament, or better still, a small monthly donation. However much you can afford is much appreciated. Go to www.ULTI.TV, and we will be back with more action from the UKU Nationals. We've got action from the women's and men's divisions later on, and all that will be coming up. From Tom Stars and from Benji Reese and from our whole ULTI.TV production crew, thank you very much.
ULTI.TV.
Yes, Hanny should be along shortly to... Correct. Yes, it is Herd versus Oxford, which is why...